things first, it's the DU General, Money P. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not to unsettle you. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tight Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the move. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis. Go sis. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. The show is called First Things First. And my very first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, and asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and let's go. So today is Wednesday, and as you well know, our days have names around here. It is a Wealth Building Wednesday. What do we do on a Wealth Building Wednesday? Hour 1, we look local, what's going on the left coast side of town. Hour 2, we start off with a Wealth Building Wednesday spotlight on a business or business opportunity of interest to you, BIPOC, Black folks, local business, women-owned, and socially innovative enterprises. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive on a hot topic or person of interest. Today, we'll be speaking with actor-director Mario Van Peebles. So it should be a fun show today. And of course, as you know, the phone lines are always open, but particularly once we finish Wealth Building Wednesday, we have a wide open phone hour. And you know the number. If you're new around here, it's 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You're also invited to weigh in on the chat. You know, we're on YouTube streaming every single morning, a weekday morning, at youtube.com, KBLA 1580, and you can find quite a lively conversation in the comments section. So join there. Lots of people who are at work and can't call like to join there and see how people are responding. So it is officially election season, I guess. We have had a couple of primaries on the national scene. Our primary here on the left coast in Los Angeles does not happen until June, so we're starting a little early, but some folks like to get an early start, and it always seems like right at the end, when it's time for, or days away from the election, 572 candidates want to get on. So this woman, I think, is trying to get ahead of the crowd. She was born and raised in L.A. She grew up in Mid-City, is a Leimert Park resident, works all over South L.A., and she's a school-based mental health professional. We'll let her tell you more about that. She is running for District 55, which is currently occupied by Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, and she seeks to unseat him. So we'll hear from her and see what she has in mind. Ashley Brown, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. I always prefer when folks get a chance to join me in the studio. You are a longtime Angelino.
Yes, longtime Angelino. I was actually telling my campaign manager that it feels a bit nostalgic to be here. I think it's about 20 years ago now, Tavis Smiley had a Youth to Leaders program that I participated in, and he had like a year component, and we came into this building and did like workshops and stuff. So it's a little bit nostalgic. I kind of feel like it looks the same. So it's pretty cool to be back back here.
I mean, I wasn't there 20 years ago. I was at a different radio station, but it probably does look the same, knowing Tavis, he likes everything to be just so, big Virgo energy. But what do you remember from that? It's interesting. I meet, from time to time, I do meet graduates of Tavis's Youth Leadership Development Program.
So I remember that he encouraged us to be just very actively engaged, and I think it's where I developed my love of conferences. So the first we had like almost like a conference style. Aaron Magruder, creator of the Boondocks, was our keynote speaker. At the time, I'm gonna age myself. I was glued to the newspaper, waiting on Sundays for his comic strip to drop. And so it was amazing. The show had not been created yet, so it was amazing to see him in person. I was super excited. And we had like breakout sessions on how to be more active in, student leadership at the time. So kind of like student government and like different clubs on campus and stuff like that. So it was really, really, really a fond memory that I have of growing up here in LA. But I just didn't expect for it to kind of come full circle like this.
Right. And so full circle, fast forward to where we are now, 2026. You have a career
Yes.
in education.
I do.
Working with kids. Kids need mental health professionals right now. We're still post-COVID, and I don't see much being done to help them bounce back. But you want to get out of that job and get into another job, which is an elected official. Why? What made you say, okay, it's time for me to run?
Absolutely. The kids. So the same kids. When you're working at a school, it is day to day. Almost, we call it in social work, micro, meso, and macro. And when you're working micro, you're working with individual students day to day. I'm going to different classrooms. I'm teaching emotional regulation, feelings identification. And then you start to see these systems that we have are kind of broken, and these kids need the mental health more than ever. And so what I had to think about is, okay, how do I make that happen? And so a lot of people have shared, go to the school board. But then I advocate very strongly with the union right now as a mental health professional with the district. And I see that
You're talking about UTLA?
I'm talking about UTLA, yes. And the school board is pretty limited on what it can do as far as direction of funding. That comes from the state of California. That comes from education code. And so in order to impact the state of California students and ensure of their well-being in the future, I have to go to who's writing the education code for my babies and try to affect change there.
This is your first time running for any office?
It is.
And there was a time when I used to consider running for office. I think that time is long past. But
never say never.
Never say never, because God's got jokes. But I was advised that it's wiser to start maybe with an empowerment Congress or school board, as you mentioned, or college board, or to start in a statewide or national office. Your first time or even a citywide office is not always recommended. You're going to be doing on-the-job learning, right?
So anyone who's ever worked in a school knows they throw you in. Is on-the-job learning. You do not get a training day. No one's walking around with you. I think that's in other jobs, which honestly I think would be amazing at the school site, but we do not have that. You are trial by fire. And so that wouldn't be unfamiliar territory for me. I understand why people feel like there's steps to the process and why we should be school board to local office to state politician. I 100% get that. The problem that I have with taking that route is that those would be impeding what I want to do. As I said, I want to affect the change immediately for the students, and though that has to be where money is. Money dictates the flow. Money, the state government decides how we're allocating funds, and right now we allocate more money to the prison system than we do to education as a whole, let alone our healthcare facilities and mental health facilities. And so if I want to be effective, I've got to go where they're making those kind of decisions and really try to convince the other 119 people that this is where our money needs to go, not in a different direction.
I mean, you might need to work on the governor for that too.
For sure, for sure. I met a few of the governor candidates at the empowerment conference, so we'll see who ends up there, and hopefully we can bridge a wonderful working relationship.
You met a few of the 2024 gubernatorial candidates. Was there anyone you were leaning towards or away from?
Actually, I really enjoyed listening to Becerra. I enjoyed the way
former Health and Human Services Secretary.
Yes,
Javier Becerra.
And I enjoyed the way he spoke about his trajectory and what made him run. I actually enjoyed. I'm blanking on his name, but there was one Republican candidate there, and I actually
there's two main ones: Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco. Wasn't either of those?
Believed it was Chad Bianco that was there.
Oh wow, the Riverside Sheriff.
I enjoyed his thought process. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of what he said, but I did enjoy his thought process. And
I mean, but the man is a member of the Oath Keepers, or at least he was.
I said I didn't agree. I just like the way he framed a lot of his conversation was about, and willing to come to the table with everyone else was Democratic. So I appreciated that. I do believe we need more conversation and be able to talk across aisles and not be so partisan. But that doesn't mean we're going to agree.
I mean, yeah, okay, it's good if people can talk to each other. Well, when you talk about Oath Keepers, I mean, that's a white supremacist group. So I don't know how, I don't know what solidarity with a white supremacist group quite looks like.
Well, I think that's the confusion, right? We don't need solidarity. We need to be able to find common ground, and that's not necessarily solidarity. I think people confuse the idea that we have to, we need to find like that one little piece of thing that we can kind of say, okay, let's move forward on this little piece. And yes, I can see how this helps the overall, well, for California, the overall California as a whole, right? We all live in California. California is such a massive state, and we've got to find some aspects of common ground. And believe it or not, they are there.
Even with a white supremacist.
Well, yeah, because white supremacy is based on race. So when it comes down to the needs of their kids versus the needs of mine, there's probably some common ground there that's not based on, I don't like you because you're black. I mean, there's that for sure. But then, do you want your kid to succeed in school? Do you want your kid to thrive? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. So how do we do that?
Ashley Brown is my guest. We'll hear more from her. We're going to learn about what she has in mind for the 55th District. And, of course, the big question, there's several people running for the 55th. I have to ask why. You're going against a guy that's getting like 80% of the vote in every election. We'll look at that and more when we come forward. It is election season, y'all, on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
All the women who independent, throw your hands up at me.
This March, we're turning up the volume on the women who changed everything. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to celebrate Women's History Month, honoring the trailblazers, truth tellers, and game changers who shaped our world, our culture, and our community. From the freedom fighters to the firsts, from the boardroom to the front lines, from the unsung to the unforgettable. All month long, we're celebrating the stories, the voices, and the conversations that remind us that women, Black women, have always led the way. Don't miss a moment. This is our moment. This is our story. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580, Los Angeles' home for the conversations that matter.
I'm your girl, you're my girl, we your girls. Won't you know that we love you?
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, Ashley Brown is officially kicking off the election season here. She's running for Assembly District 55, the seat currently occupied by Assemblymember Isaac Bryan, and says she made the decision to run because of the children. You're a mental health counselor in LAUSD, a member of United Teachers of Los Angeles. So what, besides, more funding for schools, which you indicated in talking about convincing your fellow lawmakers, what else is on your agenda? What is your platform, so to speak?
Absolutely. So I have 3 different things that I am looking to push through and work towards while there. So the first one is mental health and women's health. I believe the women are backbone of most of our communities. Women are the caretakers. They take care of the men, the children, ensure that the men are working at their utmost capacity. And then I also want to strengthen education and economic stability. But I think I am positive that education is a pathway to economic stability, because we see right now the complaints about Gen Z in the workforce, but we kind of did that by weakening our education system. And then just personal opinion, I think we say that about every generation, and I think we all have convenient selective amnesia, but you feel like the schools are getting worse and therefore the kids are less prepared? Absolutely. So I'm a millennial. There's a difference between the education that I grew up in and the education that the students are receiving now. We tested, but there's a higher emphasis on testing, and they test so much. It's almost like I don't know when they're learning the material because they've got a test on the material. It's crazy. And so if I'm teaching, testing is pretty much memorization and regurgitation. And if that's all I'm doing, then that's all I know how to do. I need to think. I need to be a productive member of society. And in order for that to happen, I've got to encourage thinking and spark that in different ways. There's a limited emphasis on social studies and civic engagement in elementary school, which is sad because then students don't even, my students didn't know never heard of the state assembly, let alone, one time they were like, was Michelle Obama president? And we were like, no, her husband was, but we're not.
What grade are we talking here?
I'm in elementary school, so it's
okay,
to some
but
degree.
You know,
it's a little.
I would argue that if you go to Trader Joe's right now, or Simply Wholesome for that matter, and talk, well, maybe not Simply Wholesome. You go to Trader Joe's or Ralph's right now and ask most adults, they don't know what the state assembly is. They may not admit it.
For sure. And honestly, that goes back to our education system.
Yeah.
So there's very few routes that we can take about the issues that we're concerned about that don't lead back to the way we are educating our young people right now.
So education and economics is your second platform.
Yes.
And you put those as one item.
Yes, because education is a pathway towards economic stability. The more we know, the more, just even with what's available for our small business, like opportunity zones, there's not much out, like we don't know much about that. But if I can't do basic math, I can't be worried about opportunity zones. So,
opportunity zones, many feel are just a Republican scam to pull money out of our communities under the guise of providing opportunity.
Well, that's one way to look at it. And then there's one way, and then we can also get in on that. Nipsey Hussle acquired a lot of his thought process on his area, on the Kershaw Slauson area, through opportunity zones. So if we know about it, we can be the ones usurping
We know
that.
about it and we're rich.
Well, there's also people who have businesses that are not rich. Maybe we start with one.
Oh, for sure. I'm one of those. Yeah, for sure. I'm one of those, but I'm not. Anyway, we can do a whole deep dive on that later. So, number one, mental health and women's health. Number two, education and economics.
Yes.
And your third platform
is prevention, community prevention towards community safety. I believe we are extremely too reactive in this country, but also in California. We spend a lot, instead of recently a lady was serving the public in MacArthur Park and she was killed. And so now all of a sudden we have to have extra police in MacArthur Park. Well, if we had worked towards finding homeless facilities, getting the homeless people who are suffering from mental health services before they got to that point of wanting to attack the person helping them, she probably would still be alive. Prevention makes things more safer than reactiveness. And I'll do you one better. You see that in other places at this moment. Baltimore has dramatically decreased their crime by 50% with prevention activities. So if Baltimore can do it, I know LA and California can.
We were the role model. I mean, Baltimore, Chicago, most of the big cities. I was married to the GRID director, the deputy mayor of gang reduction and youth development under Antonio Villaraigosa. So we did take the city from the crackhead 90s to where we are now, which is, violence levels not seen since the 50s or 60s. But certainly when you talk about the unhoused, that is a new kind of safety issue where it's not just the public, it's also those folks who are unhoused that are not safe.
Absolutely.
So what you're saying sounds good, like, give people mental health, assistance and services before they get to the point of being in distress or being in crisis. But how do you do that? How would you deliver? I mean, that's something I feel like every single lawmaker has been saying and trying to do for at least the past 5 to 10 years.
Well, there's a difference between performance and actual action. So they've been saying it because it sounds good, but we haven't been funding it. Money drives everything. So is
that fair to say, though, with Measure H and HHH and Measure A and I mean,
Absolutely.
literally billions of dollars that the state has poured into
They've poured
the
it
unhoused.
into the unhoused, where we can get into that about at another time about the way they've spent that money. But you're looking at how there's all about housing. If the example I gave to a friend yesterday was, if I'm depressed and I don't want to get up and I don't want to live, I could care less about a bill.
Yeah, for sure. But right now, for example, you have the fight between the LAHSA, which was the city and county homeless agency that people, criticized for not having transparency. And we had a new leader, a black woman, who was trying to fix that, who was sort of scapegoated and pushed out. Now the county has left. They have started their own agency. So now we have yet another agency to not talk to the other agency. They want to pull all their money out of the city agency. I'd be interested. Well, we've got news, traffic, and sports right here, but where do you stand on that? The mayor is trying to keep that money in LAHSA, which is the LA City Homeless Agency. The county wants to pull their money out. And, of course, to your point, the state is the one that ends up, that's going to end up bringing our taxpayer dollars to either one of those agencies and either one of those entities, the city or the county. So, I'd love to know how you see that, even though you're looking for state office. I think it's an example of what you're talking about. Where do you stand on that? We've got news, traffic, and sports, and we'll look at that and go a little deeper into some of these other platform items. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Florida woman is facing attempted murder charges after allegedly firing several shots at Rihanna's Los Angeles home. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
And when an individual comes into our community and decides to shoot it up, that individual will be arrested and held fully accountable for her actions.
Prosecutors say Ivana Ortiz could get life in prison if convicted. Rihanna, A$AP Rocky, and their children were inside but unharmed. Canadian police are searching for 2 suspects after shots were fired at the U.S. consulate in Toronto early Tuesday. No injuries were reported. Officials call the attack absolutely unacceptable, and security has been increased at U.S. and Israeli diplomatic sites. And a new documentary on Whoopi Goldberg is in the works, expanding on her autobiography, Bits and Pieces. The film will offer an intimate look at the EGOT winner's life. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Now is the time to save on an award-winning Nissan at the Nissan Now sales event, featuring the Rogue, Pathfinder, Frontier, and more. Don't wait. These offers are going fast. Shop your Southern California Nissan dealers and NissanUSA.com today.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers star Luka Doncic was fined $50,000 by the NBA for making an inappropriate and unprofessional response to referee Trey Maddox during Sunday's win over the New York Knicks. Doncic rubbed his fingers together in a money gesture when he was charged with a foul. Doncic was attempting to draw an offensive foul. Maddox called the foul on him. Doncic needs to be careful. He already has 15 technical fouls this season. One more would lead to a one-game suspension without pay. LeBron will likely be a game-time decision for tonight's game against Minnesota. LeBron has missed the last 2 games with an elbow injury and a sore hip. Something for Lakers Nation to think about. The Lakers are 9-2 this season when Doncic and Austin Reeves have played in games without LeBron. Draw your own conclusions. Just something to give some thought to. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attention community leaders. Are you ready to strengthen your impact in the community? For more than 25 years, Community Development Services has helped nonprofits build strong communities by empowering community leaders and emerging professionals with the support they need to create lasting change. Starting a nonprofit or need a fiscal sponsor? Need expert nonprofit accounting services? Services? Want nonprofit financial management training for your staff? Are you a college accounting student seeking an internship opportunity? Call 424-289-4330 or visit communitydevelopmentservicesinc.org. Community Development Services, providing support, improving communities.
Hey guys, do you want male performance in the bedroom and do you want it now? Get it in 47 seconds or less. For the first time, you can have instant male enhancement. Introducing Knox 47, the topical male enhancement that works in 47 seconds or less. Satisfaction guaranteed. Finally, after years of scientific research, our proprietary formula will allow you to perform in the bedroom like never before. Just imagine that little blue pill on steroids. No reason to settle and wait when you can get instant performance now. Forget about pills and potions that make you wait hours or up to 30 days to work. That's yesterday's news. Knox 47 is brand new. The hottest thing for men. And you don't need a prescription. Call now and get your free supply for a limited time.
To find out how to get Knox 47 for free, call now. 800-677-1453. That's 800-677-1453. Free bottles for limited time. Call 800-677-1453. That's 800-677-1453.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I truly appreciate you being here. We are kicking off election season with Ashley Brown, who is running for the 55th Assembly District of the California State Assembly. Around here, we do know what that is. You have a 3-point platform, and you've said, you know, with education, it's about more funding and hoping or planning for that to increase economic opportunities. When you talk about mental health and women's health, of course that intersects with houselessness and other issues, including education.
For sure.
And you are a mental health professional.
Yes.
But in this state, we, since the Reagan era, have defunded mental health services. What are you proposing at this moment?
Absolutely. So one, I feel like we should strengthen some of the systems that we already have in place. So there is a Department of Mental Health that we have here in the state that receives less funding each year. We need to increase the funding.
But we're in a budget crisis. I mean, everything is being cut. So how do you do that? How do you make that happen?
We decrease funding to other things. You don't create new money. You just prioritize better. So we need to prioritize our families and our communities here in California.
So what are you cutting at that point?
Well, this is going to be controversial, but I really honestly believe we need to cut some of our funding to prison systems, and we put the most money here in California into our prison systems, which is a reactionary measure, which I've already just said that I believe in prevention. So with prevention and decreasing our safety, we actually need less prisons. So we would need to fund the prison system less. And I understand that most of them are privatized, but we do in California spend a lot of our government money on policing and our prison system. Now, I'm not talking about defunding the police because we need safety. I'm not crazy. However,
well, defund the police, really means shifting budget to other stuff. I guess that's how you interpret it, but that is the original intention. I think
right.
The idea of saying that defund the police means you don't want safety is, I don't think anyone doesn't want safety.
Oh, for sure. I'm speaking to the folks who perceive it as defunding the police means that you don't want safety, and I've heard that several times when we went to defund the police in schools, school police, and we did that $25 million divestment. We funded the Black Student Achievement Plan in LAUSD, and I was a part of the early talks with that. So, and the Black Student Achievement Plan is successful. All of the Group 1 schools outperform all the rest of the LAUSD schools, which says that the prevention model works. When you are investing in the community, then the students begin to thrive. All of those schools are outperforming the rest of our LAUSD schools, which was stated in a press conference by our superintendent. That's who's in controversy right now.
Yeah, well, we could spend the rest of the show on that. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But, okay, so before News, Traffic, and Sports, I asked you, where are you on LAHSA? You've stated your intentions to increase mental health services, to get more support to the unhoused. And right now we have a controversy between city and county. Where do you fall on that?
Right. So one of the things that I've been explaining to people is that our systems are working in silos. So they were supposed to work together. They weren't. And now they're fighting in-house. It's crazy. We need to audit and figure out where that money went. They had all this money, and it seems as if the homeless population and the housing crisis have gotten worse since the influx of money. So,
well, the data shows that at least in LA, you've seen a decrease for the first time under Mayor Karen Bass. Small, but still a decrease.
Right.
So, so does it make more sense to defund LAHSA, the city homeless agency, audits or no audits, and create a new county agency and further separate city and county? Or does it make sense to keep both of those? Or, what's your, that's a decision that's being fought out right this second as we speak around homelessness.
For sure. And so from where I'm sitting, I'm not in the room with all the stats and the details, but from where I'm sitting, I would not defund. I would keep the organizations working together. To separate them creates more silos, creates more division, and this group is doing this group is doing this. We're not working together, and we're not efficient that way. The key here is to be more efficient with what we're doing in the government, in state government, but also in the cities. And the cities can be efficient once we get our efficiency together in the state government.
And when it comes to your third platform, which is community prevention and community safety as part of the same line item or part of the same platform item, what do you see doing, adding or subtracting? What are you proposing here?
So you mentioned Antonio Viragosa, and I was a youth one. He was mayor, and we had a lot of things that worked. So we had Summer Night Lights. I saw that Mayor Karen Bass did begin to bring that back. We had other programs that had things and opportunities for our youth to do. Some of that is what I'm looking at. So Boys and Girls Clubs, activities, not just having the Boys and Girls Club. I think that's where people are, well, Boys and Girls Club still exists. It does, but what are they doing? They got an after-school program, and that's it. No.
Yeah, Summer Night Lights technically never went away, but I think you're right to say she's bringing it back because it was pretty neglected.
Yes. And you're right. It didn't go away, but it was kind of not funded as much before, as pushed before. And so recently I've been seeing a lot of things that she's bringing back that we had in our youth, but we can do that statewide. So I need, LA is one of the model cities for California. So what works here works in other parts of the state. And to be quite honest, unless you're in New York, it works in other parts of the country too. So we can be a model of how to improve our state and our cities. And when you focus on which is District 55, you focus on the most marginalized of our communities and they grow, then you see everyone else flourishes.
I mean, District 55 also has some wealthy folks.
They do. It
has a range of folks. There's a lot of Jewish Americans in District 55.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of Asian Americans, Indian and Iranian Americans, even in District 55. How are you gonna serve all those folks?
Through conversation and listening. When you're a social worker, you're uniquely equipped to just listen to folks and hear what they're saying and hear what they're not saying, but saying as well. And all of that is extremely important. I look forward to having conversations with those different groups. I can't wait to get back into the Pico Robinson area and just begin to have conversations. But I grew up over there. Laces is over there towards that area. And so Hamilton High is, near there. And it's I've grown up with so many different folks. I feel like it'll be the easiest way to just start talking to folks like I did when I was in high school.
Yesterday, Mayor Bass announced that she's going to be surging the police department in downtown LA, and cops on horses, cops on foot, cops on cars, because of a street takeover that turned into an apartment brawl. I don't know if you saw that in the lobby. It's the kind of thing that gets a ton of news coverage because it's flashy and, sensational footage, like the smash and grabs, which led to the passage of Prop 36, which is a terrible thing for our communities, in my opinion. You've said you want community safety over spending more on prisons and cops. So how do you think, what's the proper response to smash and grabs or a spectacular news footage of people entering a apartment building lobby, which gets people into the lock them up and throw away the key mentality that passed Prop 36?
Absolutely. So we do have to focus on repair as a part of prevention, right? There was some of the restorative justice principles that people forget is the accountability piece, and people have to be held accountable for their actions, but we do need to get to the whys. So part of one of my main platform overall pieces is that we've got to strengthen our roots. We are responding to outcomes, which is the fruit. And if we're looking at this like it's a tree, our soil is bad and our roots are bad, and they've been bad for a long time, and we're not pouring the water and watering, and we're just expecting our little baby tree to grow in dry dirt and wondering why we keep producing this raggedy fruit. So we've got to look at the system, and we've got to look at the roots of our problem, but we're also going to hold folks accountable for their actions. I don't think it's a problem with the police department going down there, arresting those folks who cause harm to folks, but then we need to figure out the why afterwards. That's the part that's missing. We do one step, but we don't do the other step. And the why is always important. You need to know why people are doing things. You need to know what their reasoning is so that you can address behavior and correct behavior.
You mentioned repair. Reparations was a huge and important issue for California. We've been a leader in the nation as far as the first to stand up a reparations task force. I'm sure you're familiar. Since you're running for the assembly with the fail that the California Legislative Black Caucus had around reparations, it's led at least one of the people that you're competing against to run for that particular seat. What is your position on reparations?
Absolutely. So reparations is one of those words that's very politically divisive. People are like, oh, you're just going to give away money. This is not about giving away money. This is about restoring and repairing, again, harm that has been caused to Black people over time through many different things, through divestment in our community. So we're not having the same amount of businesses that we could have had, access to loans. It's about repairing harm to Black people who've created things and didn't receive the patents, or systematically set up so that they couldn't receive the patents that they deserve. So all of that, which is more so about inheritance, right? And like taken away from our inheritance over time because we don't have this lineage and we could have. And so it's a very interesting conversation, and I'm obviously in support of reparations. I think we just need to make sure that people and the folks out there understand that this is not about just giving away money. Yes, money does help all things. We all know, but it's not just about the money. It's about repairing legacies that were messed up or sabotaged, and repairing the harm that was caused to an entire community of folks.
So when you say it's not just about money, does that mean you don't support monetary reparations?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely not. It's not money. Like I said, money helps for sure. But I believe that there's more pieces to the puzzle. So if the money, for example, with Bruce's Beach, they got their land and they got money, right?
Well, they got money because they sold the land. Yeah.
That's how they got.
Yeah, they didn't get money and land. They got land, and they got their land back, and then they sold it to the county.
So that's wild. But I will say this: having land, having property and equity also creates a amount of money. You can, if you have a good amount of land, that's acreage, right?
Yeah.
That creates a amount of wealth that maybe you haven't seen before in your lifetime. So money can look differently. It's not just about you gave me a check for $2 million as like, oh, here's a response to your harm. What does this look like? I'm giving you back your patents. You know, people make all kind of money for patents. I'm giving your family back just dignity for, if you look at the Henrietta Lacks situation, their family received funds, but they were seeking dignity for what they did to her. And you can't put a price on dignity, the way that acknowledgement, which is a part of repairing the harm.
I was happy to see they got a second settlement, the family, and Ben Crump was on the show explaining how they're going after every single pharmaceutical company. Let's see. Robert Pierce in our YouTube chat wants to know, what is your plan in regards to affordable housing for Black people?
Absolutely. So we've been having this conversation with the team about affordable housing, and honestly, I don't think we have a shortage of housing. Most people you will hear say we need to build more homes, but there's like 3 buildings on Crenshaw that have been built within the last 10 years, and they're empty for the most part. I think we have a market problem, and we're saturating the market with homes, but we're not changing the prices. The affordability is the problem. And so we've got to really look at how we can make things, what we have, more affordable for the millennials and the Gen Zs, which is the only generation other than the generations before that haven't been able to buy homes. But there's a new bill that's being proposed that so far I haven't done the full research, that I think is interesting, of having corporations sell most of their single family homes. So why do all these corporations have a bunch of single family homes in these communities? Single family homes need to go to single families and let them live and thrive in their communities. So I'm interested to see how that unfolds on the federal level.
Ashley Brown is my guest. We'll have our final moments with her when we come forward. Election season underway. Hope you're taking notes. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in Black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized, the families who watched their inheritance disappear, the wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
Warning, evacuation in progress. Leave the building.
It's a total takeover.
That's what I want.
On Friday, March 27th, KBLA Talk 1580 belongs to the women.
Are you ready?
All day long, from 6 in the morning to midnight, the mic belongs to powerful, accomplished women, and we are not letting go. Nothing but the voices of women who inspire, challenge, and move us forward. It's the women of KBLA Talk 1580, sun up to sundown. I'm Dominique DePrima, and I'll anchor the day with a 3-hour live panel from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on the state of black women in LA, followed by women talking to women all day long about the issues that matter most. Our hosts for the day include Jill Monroe, Adrian Shropshire, Dr. Melina Abdullah, Angela Reddick Wright, Raquel Graham, Angelique Francis, Tasha Thomas, Dr. Shalonda Crawford, and featuring special guest hosts Santita Jackson and Amanda Seals. This is Women's History Month, and we're not just celebrating it, we're amplifying it. Join us Friday, March 27th on KBLA Talk 1580, where women take over all day, all night. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 and all of our socials for the rundown. You don't want to miss a single word. And happy Women's History Month from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
You are the bomb.
To my ladies.
I'll show you know how to work that.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
All right, before we burn up the rest of the hour, Ashley Brown, how do we find your campaign and follow the work you're doing?
Absolutely. So you can find me at my website, which is Ashley, Ashley, traditional spelling, Brown, like the color, for FOR assembly.com.
Ashley Brown for assembly.com.
Yes.
I indicated earlier, and I think we talked about this when I first met you, that Assembly Member Isaac Bryan, who's currently in that seat, is also a millennial, and he
barely.
He's a millennial. No, not barely. He's definitely a millennial, and he's garnering about 80% of the vote every time. He's one of the most voted for members of the Assembly. He's also put forth quite a bit of successful legislation. Why take him on? Why do you think he needs to be replaced out of all the members of the state Senate and state Assembly?
Okay, so when I jumped into this race, it wasn't about him. It was about me being from District 5, growing up, District 55, growing up in District 55, and wanting to represent where I'm from as a native Angelino. That's how it started. But after doing a little bit of research, when the votes count, did he show up? That's why there's a whole community angry at him.
Actually, he did show up. He just didn't vote the way people wanted to. But he's the only Assembly member who came to the community meetings afterwards to address the community, who came on this show multiple times to address people directly, and has not sort of hidden from that decision.
We're gonna agree to disagree on that. I've been living in.
They're facts. I was at the community meetings too. I was on the mic. You know.
Gotcha, and I understand that. And I think it's something to be said for living in a place and you not knowing who your assembly person is, and not being familiar with them when you are in a community. And so I do think there's something to be said about that. But it's
You're
honestly
saying he's not visible enough, or he's not out and about in the community enough?
I've been in Leimert for 10 years. I've been in District 55 for almost 40. But in the 5 years that he's been in office, I did not know who he was. And I just feel like that's to some degree that is problematic. But what I will say, it's not about, there's a lot of conversation about why unseat him. It's not about him. It's about implementation and about policy structures. He has created some things that are great in theory, but I'm in the communities working every day and they're not functional. So you've created a policy that keeps that keeps foster youth from aging out, which is great, but they're not aging out at 18 with no functioning workforce structures, knowing what to do, mental health address. Now they're aging out at 24 with the same situation. Implementation and ensuring that your policy has the teeth for that implementation is just as important as the policy itself. And so that is the goal of me going to the state assembly, is making sure that our policies are reflecting lived work. And it has nothing to do with Isaac Bryan. I live here. I don't want to do the thing that politicians do where they go and they move so they can be in a different area and get to political office that they're aspiring for, and they don't know anything about the community that they're serving. Yeah, I'm not here for that. I'm here to serve the community in which I continue to serve on a larger scale. And that happens to be District 55. Unfortunately for him, it happens to be where he also is as well. Here's the thing too. We keep saying he got 80% of the vote, but he's pretty much been running unopposed. Again, the person who run against him, the Republican candidate, I ain't never heard of him either. So are you canvassing in the community and getting to know the folks that you are seeking to endorse you, or are you staying in the Mar Vista area?
Ashley Brown, thank you so much for being with us this morning. You can find out more at ashleybrownforassembly.com. You got to spell out for ashleybrownforassembly.com. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll be hearing from the other 3 folks that are running for that seat in the weeks ahead. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A Florida woman is facing attempted murder charges after allegedly firing several shots at Rihanna's Los Angeles home. LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman.
And when an individual comes into our community and decides to shoot it up, that individual will be arrested and held fully accountable for her actions.
Prosecutors say Ivana Ortiz could get life in prison if convicted. Rihanna, ASAP Rocky, and their children were inside but unharmed. Canadian police are searching for 2 suspects after shots were fired at the U.S. consulate in Toronto early Tuesday. No injuries were reported. Officials call the attack absolutely unacceptable, and security has been increased at U.S. and Israeli diplomatic sites. And a new documentary on Whoopi Goldberg is in the works, expanding on her autobiography, Bits and Pieces. The film will offer an